Kevin and Steve back for Game of Thrones, episode 3, season 6. We've seen it, we watched it, you watched it. You might notice that Gerald's not here. There's a reason why.
Slacker.
He A, is a slacker. B, was also one of the conspirators, Spider-Man? Conspirers against Jon Snow. The most recent season, he was hanged until death. So we've seen the episode. We want to touch base, recap. So Steve, what were your initial reactions? 3 episodes are out, 7 left. I think they've said that there are going to be 7 more next season, and then 6 more the following season. So that means 20 episodes left to resolve this story. How happy were you with this episode?
I was actually pretty happy with it. It wasn't as action-packed as the first 2 episodes, I didn't think, when it comes to fight scenes and that sort of thing. We did see a really good fight scene, I thought, with the flashback.
Finally.
And I imagine this is what you and Gerald have been referring to, and what's to come next. Have a prediction on that. We can get into how specific we want. I thought it was a good episode, though. I was entertained again throughout the whole piece. They're moving these stories along, which I thoroughly enjoy. Finally going somewhere with Arya Stark. They brought back Sam. I don't care about his storyline, but they brought him back.
You gotta have Maesters in the world, though.
So,
I mean, even though it's a boring job, somebody's got to do it, right? I mean, Maester Aemon was 1,000 years old. Can't do it forever. I also enjoyed the episode. One thing I will say about this episode, which I know I've been saying over and over and over and over again, is the gosh darn pace. They've been doing a great job keeping me interested.
Yeah.
So what happened? We had Arya Stark. Get her vision back.
Yes.
Get, training. I still don't see where they're going with that storyline, really how she's going to play into the overall arc of it. But, it's cool that she's finally, learning. People are believing her. That one girl, though, she was pissed when Arya blocked her little stick fighting. And I decided, by the way, by watching this and The Walking Dead, that if I was ever a Ninja Turtle, I think I'm going to be the purple one just because I like the staff. Like, I like that style of fighting. It's awesome. Anyway. Well, excuse me. But anyway, so we have Arya. Sansa, she wasn't in this episode, right?
No, Sansa's not in the episode.
There is one thing I do want to talk about. At the very end, we saw the Umbers show back up, and we see that the Boltons, the Umbers, the Karstarks, big houses in the north, they're banding together, and we are reintroduced to Rickon Stark, who has not been seen since season 2. Very pleasant surprise. They had Osha with him, I should say. He does look like a little girl, but she had Osha with him, and we're like, this is probably a ruse, don't you think? Like, the Umbers are probably just going to try and trick him, and then they bring in the goddamn severed off wolf's head.
Yeah.
My God, I was actually a little bummed out when I saw them do that, because I like the wolves. I felt the wolves have been very underutilized, and just so you know, everybody, there were 6 wolves, 3 of them are dead. We had Sansa, who was killed immediately, lady. We had Robs, who was killed at the Red Wedding, Grey Wind, and then we had Shaggy Dog, apparently decapitated. So it kind of stinks, but it is what it is. I mean, Ghost has been really the only relevant.
Yeah, since the Stark split up, he's really been the only
Grey Wind was relevant for the battles when Rob was fighting and, for the control. But all the other wolves have been kind of wusses. But so that was a little pleasant surprise. Dany, apparently she's going to go on trial. I will say one thing about the show is justice. It's a big theme for Game of Thrones. Whether it's, justice by fighting, whether it's justice by law, whether it's justice by other customs. It's a huge trend. We've seen it with Tyrion's multiple trials. We've seen it, various things like that. We've seen Cersei atone for her sins in a religious aspect. And now Daenerys... they didn't say she was necessarily going to go through a trial, but they mentioned that it's up to people to decide what happens.
Yeah, there's going to be some sort of a hearing because she fled or she left the Dothraki after Khal Drogo died.
I have a feeling Dario and what's his face, Ian Glenn's character, Jorah Mormont, obviously they're going to rescue her, but bold prediction here, and I don't want to brag saying my predictions have all come true, like spot on, but I have a feeling Jorah Mormont will not survive the ordeal. He's going to be, he's going to go down like a hero, but he's got to go down. They've been showing he has the grayscale How else is he going to redeem himself in her eyes?
Yes, I think that when that moment will come to a climax, that she will, whether she says it or not, will come to some forgiving, and they will have peace with each other, and that's when he'll.
And there's no more need for his character anymore.
No.
So that's a death prediction I predict within the next few episodes. Jon Snow back alive on the wall. We weren't sure. We were like, excuse me, everybody. I'm really sorry. We weren't sure though, because we weren't sure, is it going to be the Jon Snow we knew? Is it going to be a zombie Jon Snow? But it turns out to be the same Jon Snow to a certain degree. I mean, he's very bewildered when he comes back, and very bewildered when he comes back. And one thing I will say though is he didn't wait around to pass judgment. What do you think about that scene?
I thought it was interesting because you always wondered, being that Jon Snow has these different ideas and mindset than previous Lord Commanders, and just the way that the Night's Watch works, is if he would extend grace or mercy to the group, especially to, I forget what the kid's name is, but
Ollie.
the little kid, Ollie.
I don't know why people hated on Ollie so much. Like, I get that, like, he stabbed Jon Snow, and that was a big betrayal, but, like, people, like, villainize him up to the point with, like, Joffrey, and I was just like, he really wasn't that bad. Like,
he was influenced by the big leaders in the Night's Watch, and, he had good reason to hate Jon Snow for what he did.
His family was killed by the wildlings. Like, I get it. It's justified. I like that scene very much because finally Sir Alistair's gone after 6 seasons of turmoil. I didn't think he was going to have Ollie suffer the same fate. And I think Jon Snow even had a moment of hesitation when he looked him in the eye. And he was like, what do I do? But I think Jon Snow's character, it's very important to remember, I think he is changed due to this ordeal. He's questioning himself. Did I do the right thing by bringing the wildlings in? So his character's changed, and like I said, I called it. As soon as it was over, he gives up command of the Night's Watch, and he's out of there.
Yes.
So Gerald was bringing the point is, do you really think he would leave the Night's Watch? Yes. And now that they've reintroduced Rickon being hostage, which is the only reason why they did it, they introduced Rickon being hostage at Winterfell, Jon Snow is going to flock down, and there's going to be some sort of storyline there.
Absolutely, and Jon really has no idea what's going on outside of the Night's Watch, but now that his watch has ended, now that he's leaving, I imagine he's going to be taking the wildlings down. He's going to prepare everybody in the south, or anybody south of the wall, that the White Walkers are coming, and he's going to stumble across Winterfell, of course, because that's up north, and that's where he's going to go head-to-head with Ramsay Bolton.
It's very interesting based on where we started in the very beginning of the series to where we are now. I do feel like the structure of society has definitely changed. If you abandoned the Watch in the beginning of the show, which was one of the first scenes we saw, the Ward in the North would behead you. You'd be called an oath breaker, and you would be just. But now it's to the point where the Night's Watch has dwindled so bad. Winter's coming. The land is devastated by the war. It's just, do people even care anymore?
Well, at the same time, I think, and this might be where you're getting at, but I think that Jon has the ability to leave the Night's Watch without any sort of repercussion, because his watch technically has ended. He died.
But how do you explain that to somebody in the North that catches you? I'm dead. I died already. I'm back from the dead.
This is true. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. But I foresee, Jon Snow rallying in some way, whether that be to take back Winterfell with the wildlings, and then everyone rally around Rickon. I don't know exactly how that's going to happen, but
I still think Sansa is going to come into play here. What I think is going to happen is Jon Snow is going to leave Winterfell the same time, not Winterfell, the wall the same time Sansa's showing up, but he's maybe going to be just a little bit further away. And they're going to be like, Jon just left, and she's going to be like, what do you mean? And then they're going to rush out to find him. That's how they're going to band the alliance together of the wildlings, Jon Snow, Sansa, and that's how they're going to retake Winterfell.
Either that, or they'll meet somewhere in the middle, because she's coming straight from Winterfell. He's heading straight from the wall.
I just don't see. The reason why I say that is how is Jon Snow going to retake Winterfell without a wildling army? And you know what I mean? Unless Tormund Giantsbane follows him, I don't know. They're gonna have. He's gonna have to have some force to take on the Boltons, the Umbers, and the Karstarks.
Yes.
Finally gonna get that justice that is deserved. What other characters do we got? We saw Bran Stark. This is the coolest part of the episode. The reason why Bran is such a cool character is because you do have the ability to go back in time. A couple episodes, they introduced the concept of Lyanna Stark, and Bran said, my father never talked about her, so she's always been kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
The whole story is, for those of you who don't know, is Rhaegar Targaryen was married to Elia Martell, who, if you remember, was Oberyn Martell's sister, which he was trying to seek vengeance of back in season 4. But Rhaegar wasn't necessarily in love with Elia Martell. He was in love, so they say, with Lyanna Stark. Now, this is the big theme of why they did this. History isn't always what it's been represented. Does that make sense? So, you could hear these stories 9,000 times of how they supposedly happened, but they've been twisted. So, the story is Rhaegar kidnapped and raped Lyanna. That's the story that's been told down in history. That's what everybody believes. That's why Robert started the whole rebellion. That was why. So we got to see a cool flashback of something called the Tower of Joy. This is after Robert has defeated Rhaegar Targaryen on the Trident and killed him. The Mad King is dead, and now Ned Stark is going to find his captured sister. I don't know if you picked up on this, but the people guarding the tower were the King's Guard.
Yes.
And one of the people was Sir Arthur Dayne, who has never been seen. He's only been rumored because he has so much renown as the greatest swords fighter of all time. So we get to see Ned Stark, the Reed, I forget his name, but it doesn't, Howland Reed, fight them. And what did you think of that scene? That was pretty cool.
I thought that was a really cool scene. I just want to commend the producers and the directors as well, that they picked a great character to represent a young Ned Stark. In my opinion, I didn't like his
look, but
I thought he looked very good. I thought he sounded good.
His dialect, his definitely dialect in the voice, it was the same as Sean Bean's.
But no, I thought it was great. I loved that fight scene. I liked the way that it ended, especially when Bran's like, I know what's going to happen. He's going to beat him. He's going to kill him. I've seen this 1,000 times. And then, he was told, is it really though? And
it doesn't happen how history has told it.
It doesn't happen how history has told it.
Like I said, that's the whole point of showing these type of flashbacks. So I still stand firm in my ground. One of the biggest theories in Game of Thrones history has been Jon Snow's parentage, and that will be revealed.
Yeah.
I
foresee this coming up in the next flashback, and that's, I feel like that is where that is going.
Why do you think he's holding him back so much? Why don't you think he wants him to see what's in the tower? Do you really think it's just due to the time they've spent in the flashback, or do you think he thinks Bran is not ready to see it yet?
I don't think that he thinks that Bran is ready to see it yet.
Yeah.
And that if he sees too much that he's not ready to see, then he could get lost.
There's a cool,
in his own mind.
Cool theory I was reading on the internet that Hodor. Did you see this? Hodor was once a warg that could go into horses, and he spent too much time in a horse's body, which is what scrambled his brain. Pretty interesting.
That's interesting.
Could be a cautionary tale. I don't know. Who else do we got? We got Theon wasn't in this one.
Theon wasn't in this one. He's with Sansa.
Tyrion. Here's one thing about Tyrion. Tyrion is a great character, but to me, in a lot of ways, Tyrion is a one-trick pony. He drinks and he's clever, and he even says it in the show. But other than that, what is the point of his scenes other than humor right now?
See, I recently read a new fan theory, the fan theory, in essence, is that Tyrion is, in actuality, a Targaryen.
Yeah, that one's been going around, because there's a part, I don't want to get into it, but there's a part in the book that the Mad King potentially raped Tywin Lannister's wife. So
yeah, so and there's a few lines in what Tywin has said in previous episodes that would lead people to believe this. Now, out of what is Tyrion's purpose anymore? Where is he headed? Maybe there's some legitimacy to that, whether it be all factual or real from what the theory is, or in some way he has something to do with what's being said, because it is said that there's 3 heads to the dragon.
Yes.
Who are the 3 heads to the dragon?
Well, the big rumor is Jon Snow and Tyrion. So
Jon Snow, Tyrion.
My biggest complaint about Dany's storyline is, I get it. They have her in Marine. She's trying to practice ruling, so when she takes over Westeros, she'll be ready. But the problem is, like I've said, there are 20 episodes left. Like, I can only see her practice ruling so much and deal with these slave owners and Yunkai and Astapor. It's like the ball's got to get rolling. So maybe things aren't going to turn out how we think they are, where Dany's going to fly over on her dragons. Maybe Dany is, I don't know. I think that Dany is not going to be as impactful as we might have believed, and that's the whole point of Game of Thrones. People have all these plans, but guess what? You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the only other big storyline we've really not really touched base on is King's Landing, with the whole Sons of the Harpy. I always call them the Sons of the Sparrow for some reason, but this, the sparrows and all that good stuff. So
I liked how Tommen finally manned up. He went to the High Sparrow, but then the High Sparrow kind of put him back in his place.
I'm so sick of that storyline. I just can't wait till it's resolved with a lot of violence. It's going to be.
Yes.
They actually did confirm that, and we all knew, but they did confirm that big monstrous brute was Gregor Clegane, so the Mountain. That just the whole scene though in the High Council, I just feel like the Lannisters, Cersei and Jaime especially, have truly lost power. Like, their whole point is we are who we are. We're gonna be in this meeting, and the other people just stormed out.
Yeah.
I really want them to resolve Marjorie. It's such a waste to have such a good character just rot in a cell.
Yeah.
Like with Ned Stark, they did that for an episode. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't have somebody rot away in a cell for a whole goddamn season unless there's some kind of payoff.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Marjorie is going to be killed by Cersei, though.
I think that is going to happen.
No doubt in my mind.
And not soon after that is, I think that's going to be the real start to where things really start to get violent in King's Landing. I think that'll be.
I don't think Marjorie is going to last the season. I really don't, and it's a shame. But she's always been kind of, well, I'm the queen now, not you, because that's her mindset based on her grandma. And we even saw an example of that in this episode.
Yes.
But, all right, well, next episode coming out, obviously, this week. Pretty stoked. We're going to get to see, I saw a little bit of preview. All I'm going to say is Theon's back. Other than that, though, Sansa's back. Littlefinger maybe make an appearance. Friggin' finally. Make sure you check out the official Facebook page, the YouTube. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 4, season 6, Game of Thrones. Any last words, Steve?
No, I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, catch you later from here to you, to Boyz, to Nerdz, to Game of Thrones, to Westeros, to Essos, to Southeros. Is that what it was? I still think that trivia game was bullshit.